Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers.
And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, another special edition of the Terrible Podcast, Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp 2025. I am Dave Bryan from SteelersDepot.com. It is Saturday, August the 2nd. It is 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And with me once again, fresh off of two trips, one to Latrobe Memorial Stadium for the Friday Night Lights, and another one on Saturday back at Saint Vincent College in Latrobe, of course, is Alex Kozora. Alex, happy Saturday. What a 24 hours or so for you.
A lot to talk about, lot to recap. Been a very busy 2 days, not just for us, but anybody attending training camp. Jam-packed crowds for the Friday Night Lights practice, always a highlight, but especially so this year. Lines were insane. They reported 13,600 and change, but I promise you there were a lot more than that. And today's practice on Saturday, line literally out across the entire parking lot, which is about a mile away from just getting inside Saint Vincent College proper. So fan base, man, Dave, has been in full force from start to finish, but especially the last couple of days.
Yeah, real quick before we get to the housekeeping here, is this because of, say, the new guys like Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Ramsey, and DK Metcalf? Is that what's got these crowds really, really buzzing this year, or any idea?
I've been racking my brain and talking to some friends and fans about it. I think it has to be part of that. A new look team kind of rejuvenizes the fan base a little bit. Although, Aaron Rodgers, as I've said in the past, has not gotten the biggest cheers, although he was surrounded for autographs during the Friday night practice. I think it's a combination of the new faces and just the fan base wanting to really support this team. And the crowds have always been good, but it just feels next level. So it's got to be, to some extent, the new faces, the excitement, the headline names of Rodgers and Metcalf and Ramsey, but whatever the reason, the crowds are record numbers.
All right, let's give a shout out to our friends Touring Plans, touringplans.com, a fine and longtime sponsor of these special edition Terrible Podcast training camp episodes. Alex, tell the folks about Lynn Testa's company, Touring Plans.
Yeah, great friend of the site, a continued and longtime supporter of the Steelers Depot training camp experiences and daily notes and diaries. Day 9 up on the site right now. But anyone planning a trip to either Walt Disney World or Disneyland, Florida, California, Disney Cruise Line, anything Disney related, check out touringplans.com for information on reviews for hotel stays, best way to save money, restaurant reviews, park times, when is it the busiest and the least busy, to try to make that experience as fluid and as efficient and fun as possible, so the focus can be on the trip and not all the logistical nightmares that sometimes come along with these trips. So any information, any interest in a Disney trip, check out our friends at touringplans.com and tell them Steelers Depot sent you.
Yeah, and you can follow them on Twitter/X at Touring Plans as well. And thanks again to Lynn Testa and his fine folks over there. They do a great job. All right, Alex, we got 2 days to pack into one show here. That's kind of tough to do annually when we do this, but we usually find a way. We'll start with the housekeeping first and foremost, with the transactions, with who didn't practice the last couple of nights, and really there's going to be a long list for today. So I'm gonna go down and get a cup of coffee, and I'll come back in about 5 minutes when you roll through all this. Okay?
You really could. Transactions and the days are running together, so save me if I forget something. But the notable additions in terms of new players coming onto the roster: Steelers signing a pair of defensive linemen and Kyler Baugh, who has played in the NFL a little bit in terms of some preseason action, most recently with Atlanta, was in the USFL this spring. The team waived injured Jacob Slade to accommodate that. And then the signing today, the return of Braden Fehoko, who spent the 2023 and 2024 seasons with Pittsburgh, primarily on the practice squad, never appeared in a game with the team. He was signed back as D-line depth, and a corresponding move there. Dean Lowry, the veteran defensive lineman, signed a 2-year deal ahead of the 2024 season. He was placed on injured reserve with a knee injury that'll end his season there. Lowry was seeing some pretty significant time, and so That is a notable loss, although Pittsburgh has a pretty deep defensive line with other options there. So those are the main transactions. A couple other ones about injury settlements and players reverting to IR. We can talk about that maybe a little bit as well. But those are the main ones to know. Boz wearing 65. Fehoko was wearing number 79. Injuries today is a long list. Now, a lot of these are veteran rest days, which is common from the Friday night practice to the Saturday afternoon session. It was not in pads, a pretty light day given all that. But here's a list of guys that did not work today for any reason. Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, Ryan McCullum, Asazi Otomewa, Jonnu Smith, Calvin Austin, Joey Porter Jr., DJ Thomas Jones, Corey Trice Jr., Keanu Benton, Calvin Anderson, DK Metcalf, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Queen, Dante Kent, and Deshaun Elliott. From the injury standpoint of it all, Trice with a hamstring that happened on Friday Night Lights. He did not finish. Benton didn't finish on Friday either. Anderson got hurt very late. Tomlin saying Trice Anderson could miss some extended amount of time. They're at least greater than day to day was the phrasing that Tomlin used there. He referred to guys like Benton, Porter more in that day to day category. Thomas Jones is working his way back. Broderick Jones, Isaac Seumalo are close to full participation. Seumalo got team reps today. Jones continues to get team reps that began yesterday, so that's good news there. Tomlin also saying Otomewa looks close to a return as well. So we'll see how things look tomorrow for the team's padded practice, but a lot of guys out today, Dave, for one reason or another, giving backups, reserves, more snaps than usual.
Yeah, you think Joey Porter Jr. might be something lower body?
Just from the rehab he was doing on the side, he traced the field walking around, which is typically indicative of a lower body injury, but it's minor, whatever it is. He should be back soon. I'm not too worried about that. The notable names here to really look towards, I think, are Trice and Anderson could be potential veteran swing tackle depth, which may be impacted in Trice. Man, that one hurts because he's had a good camp, but the injuries continue to mount. Hamstring issue, had the hamstring issue last year that cost him a chunk of time. So the talent's never been the issue. The health has been the problem, and the health is now a problem for Corey Trice Jr.
And what did Omar Khan say not too long ago about Corey Trice? We like him, but he's got to stay on the field, right?
Right, and only 2 padded practices in, and he's now off the field for some time.
All right. As far as the other kind of housekeeping, I think we already mentioned Jeremiah Moon maybe we didn't, getting waived from IR with an injury settlement. That happened on Friday, and then today, Montana Lamonius Craig was waived from IR with an injury settlement. We don't know the totals on either of those. We'll get those probably in the middle of next week. And the thing with Lowry now, obviously, he's on IR, and once you go on IR, you can't, you got to stay on there unless you're released because there's no designated to return this time of off season as well too. So we'll see if there's an injury settlement there or not. If it's a serious knee injury, he might be on that injury reserve all year with Donald Parham Jr. As well. So that opens up a potential spot on that defensive line, though, right? Because we've been kind of wondering, how Dean Lowry might fit into that, and would he be one of the 6 or 7 that they keep? But now it looks like that's out of the question there. Fehoko, he told you lost some weight when you talked to him in an interview not too long ago, right?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I spoke with him literally a couple days before training camp, and he was down, he said 37 pounds this offseason to about 285. Now, he had told me at the time he wanted to add about 5 pounds of good muscle to get to 290. He told reporters today he probably wants to get closer to 300 by the time the season starts. So either way, it's a new look Braden Fehoko and a new position as well. He was playing left defensive end a little bit late in practice today. He told reporters he wants to play all 3 spots. When he first arrived, he's that big, burly, fire hydrant nose tackle. He's a lot slimmer now and playing DN too.
All right. Let's see. Once again, we're going to try to recap Friday Night Lights and the Saturday practice here, and we're going to go through the position groups. So let's start with the quarterback position tonight. Aaron Rodgers obviously took part in his first ever Friday Night Lights as a member of the Steelers at Latrobe Memorial Stadium there, and then he did not work today. That gave guys like Mason Rudolph and Will Howard more time to work. But just talk about the quarterback play in general, both Friday night and today.
It's been okay. The offense, I don't think, has won the last 2 days. The offense made a couple plays, Friday Night Lights, but 2-minute drill. Aaron Rodgers, the first team unit, couldn't move the ball really anywhere. Now, Rodgers had a really good cover two hole shot, your favorite, to DK Metcalf, and Metcalf just dropped it. So that, thwarted what could have been a potentially promising drive, but Rodgers had a couple passes batted down. Just not super, super efficient overall. I think Rudolph's had some good practices. There was a really good dime down the seam to Johnny Smith on Friday night. He ran the show competently, effectively. Today, Will Howard's been fine as well. Thompson's been pretty quiet. Not a whole lot going on there with him. Howard had a couple snap issues. There was one botched exchange between him and Frazier. This was an under center snap, and so this was not. I was looking at it actually through my binoculars, and looked like Howard just dropped the football. So I don't think this was on Frazier. I know he's had some issues. I would put this on Howard in that particular instance, but overall the quarterbacks I think have done well. Although the offense has still, I think, been less than the defense for all but basically that one practice a couple days ago, which I think would have been on Thursday. The offense won. The defense is basically won every other day.
Was the best throw Will Howard's made in the last 2 days that 7-on-7 throw to Galbraith?
Yesterday or today?
Yesterday, Friday night.
Oh man, I'm trying to think back to what even play that is. They all run together in my head.
Yeah, that's the
I'd
problem
have to
with
look it up in
trying
my
to
notes.
doing trying to recap two practices at a time.
I mean, he had a good
go
throw
ahead.
to Lance McCutcheon in team period yesterday on the Friday night lights practice. I don't know, trying to think how that might compare to Galbraith, but it's just not, the Galbraith play is not coming to mind right now.
All right, so your takeaway from these two practices overall from the quarterback position is they're still trying to catch up and get on the same page with the receivers and all like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's been some moments. I mean, a highlight of today was Rudolph hitting Scotty Miller on a short throw, and I put it down for a long touchdown. It wasn't like a spectacular throw; it was fine. It was Miller showing off his speed more than anything. So, I mean, the offense has had a couple moments. It's probably more explosive, more big plays than you saw the first 4 days of practice, where the defense was basically not allowing anything, but the offense overall still trying to work things out.
In his super uber short presser after Friday Night Lights, Mike Tomlin was asked about the first team offense seems to be struggling, and what's his take on that? He said, "I just think it's usual for this time of year. Defenses usually develop a little faster than offenses to get to know the cohesion that's required to be good. It's just a component of it, so no alarm bells there." You concur with that?
Largely, yes. The defense is probably the better unit of the two. And as Tomlin said, so we've talked about the offense can take more time to coalesce. And you had Rodgers coming in pretty late and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm not ringing alarm bells right now for this offense. Too soon.
All right. Anything else about the quarterback position you want to discuss?
No, that probably covers it pretty good. I think Mason's been consistent and good overall, which is exactly what you're looking for out of your backup number 2 quarterback. Somebody that comes in, runs the offense without issue, without problem, without mental mistakes and bad exchanges and bad handoffs and all that kind of stuff. Just run your offense as designed. Rudolph has done that every day throughout camp.
All right, let's go to the offensive line. And I believe today might have been the first time that we actually got to see all 5 offensive linemen or starters work together for at least some period of time, right? With Isaac Sayamalo back and Broderick Jones mixing in a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't even make that connection, so thank you for that. You're right. This is the first time the starting 5 have worked together in a team period all camp. Because Malu began it on NFI, and then he just came back for his first team period today. Now, that was just for the 7 shots. He did not work in the other team period. Spencer Anderson getting those left guard reps. It's the same path that Broderick Jones took. Broderick Jones, a Friday, only got 7 shots reps. He didn't work in the other team. He filtered in and out of the other team periods today, in addition to playing in 7 shots. It's kind of the ramp up period and graduation of coming back from an injury. But yeah, the first time the offensive line worked together.
All right, Broderick Jones in the one-on-ones last night, I guess specifically against Alex Highsmith. That didn't go too well, did it?
Unless you're Alex Highsmith, and then it went really well for Alex Highsmith. Are there any clips of that? I know yesterday was a video fest. Are there any clips of Highsmith and Jones one-on-one?
I don't think there was that I've seen. Not saying that they're not
Okay.
out there, but not that I've seen. I don't think.
I was just curious because if there was, then I could kind of get your take on it. I mean, yeah, Highsmith, I thought won 3 straight reps to the outside, an outside spin, a speed move. I thought Jones was better today. Granted, not in pads, but I thought I watched him seal Highsmith up the arc on one rush, and so I don't want to freak out over a couple of bad reps there for Jones, who is just coming back to health himself, but certainly a name to watch. I think Fautanu's been better. I think he had a good practice today. I think he consistently seals the edge and is able to defend speed really well. I think the inside rushes, the power rushes will be the thing that gives him some more problems. I've talked about that several times last year and this season. He had some good reps versus TJ Watt. So I think Fautanu having some nice days.
All right. Mike Tomlin was asked after the Saturday practice about Broderick Jones being nicked up, and now Calvin Anderson's nicked up. Has he given any thought to looking at Troy Fautanu on the left side at all? And he says, no, he doesn't have enough experience to do that. If you watch today, we gave Spencer Anderson some work out there. He's more experienced and versatile, and so others will be called upon probably before Troy will. So it sounds like Troy going to stay at right tackle. Even though he mostly played left tackle in in college. And how much of Spencer Anderson did you see at left tackle then?
I missed that. I didn't see that personally today, so I'll be certainly watching for that tomorrow, assuming that Calvin Anderson does not practice, which does not appear to be the case, because I was trying to chart it pretty good. I saw a lot of Stephen Jones at left tackle, a little bit of Gareth Warren, of course, Broderick Jones, Dylan Cook, so I missed Anderson getting those reps, but he's done it in the past a little bit. I know we talked about, earlier this offseason or before training camp, I'm a guard now, but he has that tackle flexibility. Probably not ideal to have to put him in that position, but that's where Pittsburgh is at right now. So we'll keep an eye on that for tomorrow. So for whatever it's worth, I know a lot of guys deal with stuff, and some guys just get taped up, especially offensive linemen. Every offensive lineman wears 8 braces on their body, even though they don't always are reflective of injuries. But Anderson was getting his right thigh and groin really heavily wrapped before practice, so he might be dealing with something too and pushing through it.
We've talked a lot about this offensive line so far, and what a big year is for it. And I'm going to ask you, the captain, something I know probably the answer to. How concerning is it here that we're halfway through training camp and we're only got maybe a partial practice here with all 5 of these guys working together?
What do you like to say, Dave? Not great, Bob? It's not great. I mean, you can get through it. There's still a ways to go, but we are 1 month and a couple days from the start of the season, and you had some offensive line injuries. I've been concerned about the starters who have potential but questions, and really concerned about the depth of this team. And Anderson, who's having a nice camp, Calvin Anderson, that is, now getting hurt and probably going to miss a chunk of time. Will he get back for the rest of training camp? Doesn't sound great for those chances right now. So, yeah, depth of concern, starters are concerned, the O-line, the real litmus test. I think Tomlin called it the elephant in the room Friday night, and it still continues to be the elephant in the room.
What stood out to you the most about the offensive line over the course of the last 2 practices?
Well, today's tougher to evaluate without being in pads. Yesterday, sometimes it's hard to give the overall evaluation to the offensive line, not seeing it, not being able to watch it back and kind of look at some of the particulars of it. I think Fautanu's had some nice days, and you're seeing some growth and maturation there. So I know I'm sending up some alarm bells with the offensive line and some concern there. If you want one positive, I think Fautanu's your guy.
Is Mason having a nice camp, McCormick?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's done well. He's had some good battles with Derek Harmon, and Harmon's won some reps in one-on-one on Friday night. But I think McCormick's been able to rebound. He seems to be that quick study where he might get beat the first time, but he's going to recover and win that second rep. So still a lot more to watch, especially for a young guy like McCormick in his second year. But I think it's been good for him, and he's been healthy and available each day, which don't take that for granted.
All right, let's go to running back next. I think some of these running backs had a chance to get in some more backs on backers work during the Friday Night Lights practice, and it sounds like Caleb did a better job of representing himself.
He did. If I could make one last quick note for the offensive line, just one backup. Stephen Jones has had some good reps, but he is not a tackle. He's played a lot of tackle, even some left tackle, but he does not have the feet to defend speed. He's a power guy. He's strong. He's better at guard. So I hope to see him more at guard than tackle this preseason. At running back, you're right. Caleb Johnson was better, not perfect, but better in his second time out in backs on backers, which is to be expected for a rookie who comes in and takes his lumps that first day, but was better overall. And I think the group overall was better. Evan Hull was a bit better. He had one really good rep against Mark Robinson, who did come back and beat Hull on the ensuing rematches, but Hull being able to make some plays. Gainwell had some impressive reps. He lost some to Peyton Wilson too, but he's feisty. He's physical. He doesn't run away from the fight, to use the Tomlin phrase there. And then just watching Gainwell today as a receiver in, running routes like a receiver out of the backfield, running some corner routes, just really a guy they're going to lean on that flexibility of his.
Not a running back, but was Darnell the winner of or has been the winner so far in backs on backers or tight ends on edge guys?
Yes, I would say Washington a winner. I think he was last year too. I remember him doing really well in that drill, which makes sense given that he is basically built like an offensive tackle and apparently even said he'd be willing to play tackle down the road. We'll talk about that here in a minute, I'm sure. One guy I haven't talked about much, and it's kind of funny that I haven't because he's still your starting running back right now, is Jaylen Warren. He's a veteran. It can mean less for him than it does for, say, Caleb Johnson or really anyone else on the depth chart, but it's not been a really good camp for Jaylen Warren. As a runner, the lanes haven't been there. Granted, that's not always his fault, but not a lot doing as a runner. I think he struggled in the backs on backers drill, which is uncommon for a guy that his first year, he dominated that drill better than probably any rookie running back that I've seen. He took some lumps on Wednesday and on Friday versus Devin Harper, who's not exactly a starting inside linebacker for this team. As a receiver, had a drop today on an angle route and low red zone work. So, how much does that mean? You can debate that. He's taking care of the football, which is good. It's been available, which is good. But the quality of a play in a vacuum, just looking at camp and camp alone, Caleb Johnson has had a better camp than Jaylen Warren.
All right. What about Gainwell?
Yeah, like I said, as a receiver is really impressive with him. His route running, his hands, they're certainly searching for ways to get him the ball in his hands. And I know in camp, the focus of camp and getting the ball to a guy in training camp doesn't always translate to a regular season. And you have so many mouths to feed in this offense. How much are you really trying to specifically game plan to get the ball to Kenneth Gainwell when you have the ball to get to DK Metcalf and the tight ends and Jaylen Warren and Caleb Johnson? But, Gainwell as a receiver is impressive.
All right, let's go to the tight ends next. You can try to stop them, or you can hope to contain them, but you might not be able to stop them. Kevin Fulch, right, today?
Yeah, he made some plays, number 84, a guy that, catching a moving train, getting signed after Thomas Jones got hurt. Thomas Jones, by the way, doing some pretty aggressive rehab work on the side, so that's been good to see. Hopefully he'll get back sooner than later, but Fulch, a couple of downfield catches. Washington has come on strong, touchdown in 7 shots today. Granted, he was open. Washington just has really good hands, and I don't want to overlook that. We talk about his size and his blocking. His hands, I think, are really good. Had a good catch, combat catch, and team period on Friday night. Freiermuth has been kind of quiet overall, start to finish from camp, and probably left some plays on the table, but a nice connection, a catch from Will Howard today for about a 20-yard gain downfield, and had a good rep in the one-on-one coverage drill against Peyton Wilson, a 7-route bursting away and making the catch. And so some plays today from Pat Freiermuth.
All right, and you said Johnny Smith didn't do much today, if anything.
Yeah, he did nothing today. I assume that's a rest thing. I'm not aware of an injury, and he's about 30, so he knows this offense pretty well. Probably doesn't need those reps, but we'll check for it tomorrow to just confirm that he's back in pads and good to go.
All right, let's go to the wide receiver. I wonder if Calvin Austin is dealing with something, according to what Mike Tomlin had to say. I think, did he say he's day-to-day or something?
I think the reporter mentioned a couple names, his included with Benton, and Tomlin called it day-to-day. There's no way that's rest for Calvin because he's not established enough to be getting rest days at this point, so it's got to be something he's working through.
All right, what about the rest of the guys that are out there?
Yeah, Metcalf. I didn't watch the receivers DBs yesterday because, again, I watched the backs on backers at that time, but I heard Metcalf made some plays against Ramsey there. What else?
Roman?
Yeah, Roman. He had a nice catch in one-on-one today against Jameson, where Jameson tipped it and Roman came down with a kind of a crazy highlight reel, what are the odds type of play there. He's come on stronger. I don't want to say he's come on strong, but he's had a better last couple of practices compared to the first 4, which were extremely quiet. Just some other notes. Rock Taylor's made some plays. He's big. He's got burst. He's got acceleration. There's certainly something there to work with Rock Taylor. Keyshawn Williams has some speed. He made some plays in the Friday practice, but his hands are an issue, and he's dropped a couple today, and so just trying to find that consistency. Wilson, by the way, he was officially working Friday in the special teams period as a gunner and a jammer, getting some reps there. We talked about, what else can he do besides potentially return type stuff? Tomlin talked about maybe gunner work. We're officially seeing that now. Don't be shocked if he's running down some punts in the third quarter of a preseason game. Robert Woods, he's made a couple more plays, but he's kind of running down the depth chart. And I would just say, again, they mix and match. And so it's hard to say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not never that clean or neat in terms of the order, but I would say Ben Skoranek has been working ahead of Robert Woods today. I saw a lot of Robert Woods out there with Brandon Johnson and Keyshawn Williams and a little bit of Scotty Miller as well. And so that's kind of the pecking order on a day where a lot of backups were getting time. A lot of the starters were either not practicing or resting. They were limiting number of practice reps overall. To see a lot of Robert Woods is kind of like, if a vet's playing in the fourth quarter of the final preseason game, not a great sign for maybe where he's running depth chart wise. I don't want to say that Woods will not make this team, but he's lower.
Not a lock, huh?
I wouldn't call him a lock. No, I don't know exactly where I would kind of peg his chances right now. I would say Skoranek, though, probably better odds than Robert Woods, and Scotty Miller's made plays. Miller's speed is just legit. You see him hit that second gear. It's fun to watch that in person. So, more to watch here. There's certainly some attractive parts with Woods, his blocking, his leadership, mentor experience, but he is kind of running. I would probably call him that fifth string receiver right now.
Wow. Okay. How about walk us through 7 shots last night and 7 shots today?
Sure, I can go through. Start with the Friday practice. The first play was Darius Slay getting a hand on a ball from Rodgers to Metcalf, where Metcalf fell down and Slay batted it away, almost picked it off. Second play was Caleb Johnson. I think he was stopped short. Peyton Wilson on a tackle, according to the side judge, who marked him short. Next play was Slay making another breakup on Fryermuth, left corner. Fourth play, I think this one was incomplete. It was a throw from Rudolph to Scotty Miller. Thornhill had good coverage. I didn't see the ref ruling, but I had it down as incomplete in the back right corner. Fifth play was a toss to Caleb Johnson. I should have mentioned this earlier. What a great run by Caleb Johnson. I can't believe nobody has a video of that. He broke 2 tackles. He stiff-armed a cornerback. I don't know exactly who it was. Maybe Trice, maybe somebody else, maybe Ramsey, but it's a great run by Caleb Johnson to get in the end zone. Play number 6, Hayward to Gainwell, split out on a slant for a touchdown. So we're seeing Gainwell used as a receiver. And then 7th play, Will Howard touchdown right side to Max Hurlman. So I had that defense winning 4-3, but there is maybe that one play in dispute. Today, less intense, not being in pads. The first play, Rudolph for Scotty Miller. Pierre had good coverage, incomplete. Second one, Rudolph to Washington, wide open touchdown. Third play, Rudolph wanted Fryermuth right side. It was Clark and Holcomb had good coverage, helped force the incompletion. Fourth one, really good play by Beanie Bishop Jr. breaking up a jump ball to Ben Skoranek, who obviously has a lot of height on him. Next play was Howard touchdown to Brandon Johnson on a slant versus Cameron McCutcheon. Next play was Thompson, I think for Foch, incomplete on a little dig route. And then the final play was Thompson to Hurlman, incomplete. Good coverage by the UDFA, Sebastian Castro. So I don't even have it marked here what the defense won the day, I believe 5-2.
All right, let's flip over to the defensive line, and not a lot of Cameron Hayward, I would imagine, these last 2 days. And Benton's dealing with a little something right now, and walk us through, and obviously the other 3 defensive linemen who have gone down. A lot of these young guys getting some extra reps, right?
Oh, yeah. A lot of reps for the young guys, whether it's Derek Harmon, Y.A. Black, Logan Lee. I think Lee's had a couple of decent practices playing the run hard. Harmon certainly is flashed. I think Black, I think I noted it a couple times with you. I don't know if I ever tweeted it out. I know Tomlin talked about it last night. The hustle that Black shows is impressive. This guy runs to the football. He's a big man that wants to run, wants to finish reps, and so that's good. But he's a big guy. It's a little more athletic, a little more explosive than maybe what was in my head from his college tape, and so I'm never going to say he's a premier pass rusher, but a little bit more juice there than maybe I initially gave him credit for. We'll keep watching that. What else do I have here? Braden Vogel, like I said, playing some defensive end and D-tackle today. And so, yeah, just a lot of young guys getting reps.
Logan Lee supposedly weighing closer to 300 pounds now. Does he? Can you tell that or no?
Is that considered an increase or decrease from his rookie season?
I would imagine that's an increase, right? Wasn't he 288 or 85 or something?
That sounds right. Yeah, I'm never good at being able to judge weights and gains and losses, but yeah, I think Lee looks good. He's had some good practices, and with these guys going down, with Lowry going down, Otomewa missing time, even though it looks like he's going to come back soon. I mean, who's your defensive lineman right now? You have your top three in Hayward, Harmon, Benton. What? Who else is going to make it? Do you think, Dave?
Yeah, probably. Well, maybe Black, Loudermilk. What's Loudermilk done in this camp?
He's had a nice camp. He's running whenever Hayward gets all this time off, which he hasn't practiced in essentially 2 days. Hayward dressed Friday, but didn't work in team, just veteran type stuff. He's not injured, but didn't work today at all. And so Loudermilk's getting a ton of those reps. So I think Loudermilk.
Quale?
Yeah, Quale's still been just nose tackle, but I think Quale's going to make it. Probably Black at this point. I mean, if you're going to go to 7.
And they haven't been using him any at nose, right?
Not at all. Just right defensive end and D tackle.
All right. Could that be the 6 now with who went down injured? Lowry. Yeah, with Lowry down now.
Yeah, I mean, Lowry was never a lock to make it,
Right.
obviously. But I mean, did I say 6 or 7? You have your top 3, and then Loudermilk, Aquale, Black. That's 6. Yeah, so that was 6, not 7. If there was a 7th, I wonder who it would be.
Could it be Logan Lee?
Yeah, it certainly could be.
All right. All right. Anything else stick out about this? Man, they need to get some of these defensive linemen back on the field, right?
Yeah, I mean, now Hayward will just rest, and he should be out there tomorrow, and Oto maybe coming back here soon. So that's good, and you get Fehoko and Kyler Baugh in the mix. So basically, you're going to be okay, probably by tomorrow, I would assume, in terms of having the guys out there. But yeah, it's been good for those young guys, even the Dominic Davis, those types of guys to get reps.
All right. How about outside linebacker?
I like the Marvin Leos hustle. I think he's had a good camp. It's just, I don't know, just never a good fit in Pittsburgh. Just feels like wrong place, wrong time, or injury. Just always something kind of happening there with him. Nick Herbig's had a good camp, getting pressure, just kind of status quo for Herbig, but just want to note that all the same. Sawyer wasn't perfect. He's had some losses in backs on backers, but has had some wins too. He's a crafty rusher. So even saw a bit of a off-ball linebacker today, Jack Sawyer, in 7 shots. And so as you're seeing these outside guys get a little move around, not just TJ Watt moving around, but other guys too. So it's a schematic change, not just a TJ Watt change.
All right. Let's see. Inside linebacker. Peyton Wilson's having a fantastic camp still, right?
Yeah, I think it's a good camp. I mean, I have to think about exactly how I want to grade it out. He had a couple of, losses today in the coverage drill, but those are tough. Those are slanted towards the offense. But yeah, it's been good. He's gotten reps. He's worked every single day. Patrick Queen getting today off, but Wilson continuing to work. Cole Holcomb getting first team reps, by the way, with Patrick Queen out. And Holcomb was in the full live tackling session yesterday, which I wanted to make sure he was. And to check that box, had a tackle for loss on Trey Sermon. I think that clip is out there somewhere. So, it's really good for Holcomb to keep checking boxes. He's working wing on punt team. So is Peyton Wilson. Really feels like Holcomb's going to make this team, Dave.
All right. Does that leave maybe in Mark Robinson? We know how he is on special teams, and we know how he is physical playing downhill. Would you put Mark Robinson ahead of Bruner at this point?
Yes, I would.
All right. So you have the potential there of Bruner maybe having to go to the practice squad, right?
That is where I think things stand currently. Now you get into preseason action when you can really evaluate special teams, and that's where Bruner has a strong background, and those things can change. But of course, Robinson has been a teamer for his entire 4-year career, and he's had a good camp. So, could Robinson get some looks in the Landon Roberts role if that ends up being an option for Pittsburgh? I mean, I think the goal is, as I mentioned before, that they want Wilson and Queen to be the top 2 guys, or Wilson's going to absorb all the base snaps too. But I know Malik Harrison was signed and maybe thought to be in that Roberts role, but could Robinson assume it instead?
Well, what are you going to do with Malik then?
Special teams, which he's played 1,800 snaps in 4 years, which he can do.
All right. We'll keep an eye on that the rest of the way through here. Let's see. We went outside linebacker, inside linebacker. How about the secondary?
How about Darius Slay, man? He's had some really good practices. He stacked good days. Like the days are running together, but I think it would have been Thursday and Friday. He had really good sessions. He was having multiple breakups in 7 shots, the two I mentioned earlier yesterday, making plays on Metcalf and Freiermuth. So, I mean, Slay, even practicing today. Ramsey, I thought Ramsey, of all people, would get a day off today. He went out there. He was in gray sweatpants, but he was out there start to finish, him and Slay working. So, Ramsey's been good. He played outside corner because of Porter missing time. And so I know he's played a lot of slot and some safety, but getting outside corner reps whenever a guy is not available. But man, Darius Slay's been really good recently. James Pierre, have yourself a day. 2 picks and one-on-one coverage drill, which is slanted towards the offense. That was good, making plays in team period too. Pierre physically always been gifted, always had the talent. The above the neck stuff was the concern, the thing holding him back. Whenever he's on his game, man, he makes plays.
You think right now still, if you have, I mean, we won't get a good look at it until they start running the lines in preseason, but are James Pierre and Ben Skronik still your gunners?
Yes, as things stand today, yes.
All right, so that obviously gives Pierre, anytime Pierre can add some good defensive practices to that, it just helps his cause even more, doesn't it?
It does, but the issue, I mean, in terms of like who's going to get the first team reps, who's been getting them in training camp, who would get them in a preseason game, if theoretically everyone made the roster, who would be your gunners? It'd be Pierre and Skronik, no doubt. But how many corners are you going to keep? Because we'll talk about it in a second. I'm really kind of getting on board with you, Dave. Chuck Clark probably going to make this team as a 4th safety, and so can you keep? I had 7 corners and 3 safeties before. You really can't do 7 corners and 4 safeties. That probably is a little too heavy with the roster construction elsewhere. So if Pierre makes it, whose spot is he going to take? Now you go to Corey Trice and say, well, if he's not even healthy, then that may take care of itself right there. But that's me trying to fit it in my head of how to construct this team to answer your question in a very long-winded, roundabout way. But, I think Pierre's your gunner, assuming he makes a team, which he's not a lock yet. But if Trice can't get healthy, then that probably puts Pierre back on the 53.
All right, and it saves a spot for Beanie too then, wouldn't it?
Right, that's the other guy that felt maybe like he was going to get squeezed early in training camp if Trice was healthy, if Pierre had special teams value. Bishop's gotten work as gunner too, and I'm sure he will in preseason action. He had a pretty loud day today, which was good because he'd been kind of quiet on my notes overall. Wasn't bad necessarily, but just kind of quiet. He had a breakup on Skronik, some other plays throughout the team period, so that was good for Beanie. And, talk about a lot of guys missing, guys getting rest, benefiting guys that have been squeezed out of reps. Deshaun Jameson, who's been running 4th team slot corner, which gives you basically 0 reps. He was making some plays. He had a really good one-on-one press mirror drill against, I think, Keyshawn Williams. He's just been physical, and so it's good for Jameson to get reps with Dante Kent missing.
All right, and we don't know what's going on with Kent, do we?
No idea. I mean, I don't have an inkling. He's hurt. There's no way. Obviously, there's rest there. There's an injury, but we'll check it tomorrow.
All right. Deshaun Elliott was filling in mostly at strong with Deshaun Elliott getting some time off. I mean, Chuck Clark was getting some time at strong.
Yes, with Elliott getting the day off, it was Clark and Thornhill, your starting safeties today. And I think Clark's had a good camp. He's a veteran. You don't want to lock anything in here on August 2nd, but like his odds of making the 53.
All right. Anything else to pass along in the secondary there? You mentioned one of the young kids. Who was it? Cameron?
Yeah, Cameron McCutcheon. He had a good day Friday. He almost had a pick on maybe an RPO, whatever it was, a throw right side to Galbraith, and Jared Alexander was hyped. Alexander's certainly an energy bringer. There's a different demeanor compared to Grady Brown. Alexander's running around. He's hyped up. Azani's the same way. Azani was bear hugging Brock Taylor after a catch a day in one-on-one. So those guys are, wear their emotions on his sleeve in a good way. So yeah, Cameron McCutcheon, one of those big long corners. He's gotten consistent reps, 13 corner whenever the group is healthy. That's a guy that can make the practice squad.
All right, I was getting ready to say, feels like a practice squad guy. What's going on? What's the latest on our buddy Sebastian Castro out of Iowa?
It's been quiet. I mean, a lot of times safeties aren't the focal point of notes because they're always away from the ball and they're not always getting the one-on-one type of work. And so naturally that position gets talked about less than other positions. He had one good rep today, getting off a block, Hurlman and helping on a stop and helped, I think, had an influence in coverage either yesterday or today. So a little bit there, but he's been running some 3rd team, basically with Clark passing by Quindell Johnson and Castro, the reps maybe not been reduced, but you're running probably a rung lower. So we'll see. I mean, his path has always been special teams, a hair on fire kind of a guy, and the preseason action will kind of show if he can do that or not.
All right, I know it's kind of tough being this far removed from it, but what will you what were maybe the top 3 memories that you will have, and you'll forget them by this time next year, but 10 years from now, what will be the top 3 memories from Friday Night Lights?
The crowd, which was insane. I mean, the line literally snaked around the stadium. It's never. I was literally confused walking up to it because I've never had to wait in line the way that I did. I mean, I'm not complaining. It just was jarring to kind of see it the way it was, and today too. But from a football standpoint, which I think is probably the scope of your question, I'll forget by tomorrow, probably not even next year. Some of the highlights of it. I'm trying to think overall. I think Highsmith beating Broderick Jones on basically those 3 straight reps there. Some of the good reps Fautanu had against TJ Watt. The backs on backers is always fun. I know that Robinson and Johnson got into a scrum, and you got kind of crazy there for a second. Maybe not as crazy as last year when I think Patrick Queen, I don't know, it was a whole brawl that basically took place last year. That I still remember. I'd have to think about it. I don't have a good answer for you right now, but I think Highsmith against Jones. I think Slay making plays in coverage was really impressive. Those things stick out in the crowd as well.
All right, what's your top? What's the best couple things you saw today?
The 2 guys in particular, to me, James Pierre with a lot of plays of the football, and Troy Fautanu looking good at offensive tackle. So those were maybe not individual moments, but collectively, I think both stuck out.
All right, and they're trying to mess up Chris Boswell's groin with these 84-yard field goal attempts, right?
Yeah, he's kicking. Now, he didn't kick in the actual true kicking special teams period today. So it was Ben Sauls who unfortunately struggled, went 5 of 8 and missed from, I forget what I have in my notes there, 34 and 36 and 41. There weren't any long distance field goals today for him. Boswell had some in warm-ups that had the leg, but not quite the accuracy.
65 was the longest he attempted, I think you wrote.
Right, 1 from 63 and 2 from 65. The leg was there. Now, this was not a unit. This was just a snapper and a holder and a kicker, and the refs were guiding whether it was good or not to help me out. But just kind of testing his leg out there. Punters punted today, so I was able to chart punters for the first time, which was good. I thought Johnston and Waitman punted well. If I had to give the edge, who was better, just from the numbers, I would give the edge a little bit to Waitman. He had a really good hang time. Both guys had good hang time, but I thought both punted well.
So we got an email about this not long ago about Sauls and the holders flipping side, and I know you're far away from that. Have you seen any issues at all with long snapper to holder and getting it down for on the other side there?
I mean, today was the first time Sauls kicked where there was a snap to him. Whenever he's kicked in the past, I don't know if maybe there's been snaps in the past, but today was the first unit actual kicking of the entire training camp. Boswell or not, Boswell has not kicked in a formal line everybody up 11 on 11 and go out there and kick yet. But no, to answer that, I mean, it was hard. It's probably hard to see the particulars if there was an issue and where the lace is out or that kind of stuff, but nothing that suggested any issues that influenced why Sauls did not make those 3 kicks.
All right. Anything else you'd like? Did they have fireworks afterwards last night?
They did. There's a photo, I think, at the end of my notes on that. But yeah, for those who enjoyed the fireworks, they were fireworking.
All right. What else you have for us? Anything of the 2 practices, or shall we start wrapping things up at about 45 minutes here?
Yeah, I'm just check my notes here. I'm sure I'm missing something. The days, everything runs together. This is, long stretch of training camp. Team will be in
and Howard's ahead of Thompson, right? No question asked, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the charting, you probably still see a split of reps. But Howard, for example, today, when they weren't, I mean, they were still splitting, but you had 3 quarterbacks, first team, second team, third team. It was Howard over Thompson every step of the way. So Howard was your number 2 today, Rudolph number 1, Thompson number 3, I think, in play and in reps. While the rep count might be still similar, I think it's pretty clear to say right now Howard in front of Skylar Thompson.
All right, we talked about that wide receiver battle and the Robert Woods situation. Max Sharping on the offensive line, you still consider inside the bubble?
I mean, things are fluid, and I still think outside additions are squarely on the table, especially at offensive tackle. So
you're going to get it tackled now unless you go trade for somebody or get somebody that's cut, right?
Yeah, it's not going to be great, but there's going to be a name there. If you lose Anderson for a couple weeks here, I'm Dylan Cook. We'll see. He could make it. Yeah, I've always had. There's always been an appeal towards Dylan Cook. With Sharping, I mean, he's still like I think in that 9 or 10 range. I think he's still on the bubble, playing center, playing guard. I don't want him playing for any substantial action in a regular season game, but I think he's still number 9 or number 10.
All right. You and I, let's see. Today is Saturday. You will be back out there again on Sunday. Tim Rice will be with you on Sunday, right?
Yeah, he will not be out there Sunday. He'll come back next week. And also just kudos to him. He was on the field for Friday Night Lights. Some great photos there. So be sure to check out his work because, man, he got some great shots for us.
He certainly did. And we appreciate Tim Rice. Been a photog for us for quite a number of years now. So shout out to Tim Rice there. And you will return from Saint Vincent College tomorrow evening. And that's when our next special edition of the Terrible Podcast will be to recap this Sunday training camp practice. Are you expecting them in pads?
Yes, Tomlin already confirmed it, which makes sense because they weren't in pads today, but they will be in pads. He said it's family day tomorrow. They're going to be hitting, so it should be a pretty intense day before the off day Monday.
All right, sounds good. All right, Alex, great job. Be safe tomorrow, and you and I will get back after it Sunday night. So in the meantime, as always, you can follow me on Twitter/X at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and want to donate, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the donate button, up right navigational bar. Also, if you'd like an ad-free version of the site, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the ad-free button and follow the directions that way and get yourself a username and log in. So until Sunday night, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast, another special edition of the Terrible Podcast, Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp 2025 with Dave and Alex.